What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Robert R. Ricks, and this is going to be the real-time story times. We're going to do Magic Really Sucks, but the book doesn't. Book 2, Liberation. So we finished the first book week before last. Last week was just kind of a Q&A process. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this guy. I will have to give you guys a warning. If you have not read or listened to the first book, you do not want to check out the second book if you plan on reading the first book, because immediately when I first start reading this puppy, there's going to be some spoilers. So you've been warned. Okay? So this is Magic Really Sucks, Volume 2, Liberation. And I'll read the back of the book for you real quick. Ethan finds himself trapped in a magical prison which was designed to be impossible to escape from. His friends Valk, Melissa, and Sparkles recruit help and leverage all the resources of heaven and hell to try to free him. Meanwhile, powerful forces come to play, and a new Nephilim has her sights set high and has possession of the powerful trump cards that Ethan and his team worked hard to remove from the world of man. So, I wrote this trilogy in 7 months, and this is the second book. And so we'll go ahead and we will get started. I'll take my headset off. Okay. We'll skip the dedications and stuff, and we'll get right into it. Chapter 1, Beginning of the End. Utah Sanctum, April 15th. It was amazing we had accomplished what we did. More specifically, what Ethan had done. I was still trying to wrap my head around just how damn powerful he was. I couldn't believe he had taken on over 80 Council elite soldiers, a dragon, and the Precog sisters, and managed to defeat them all without killing them. Not how I would have done it, but then that was Ethan for you. Always the hero. When we arrived back at the Sanctum, I was relieved that we were done. We had retrieved the 5 power trumps that the Oracle had originally asked us to get. Justice, the Lovers, the Magician, the Empress, and the Fool. Somewhere along the line, we all realized the Oracle couldn't be trusted. So Ethan had come up with a plan to lock the trumps away where only he could access them. It seemed like a good idea, especially considering we didn't know anything more powerful than Ethan, and he was the epitome of the good guy. It didn't hurt that he was a handsome demigod whose power seemed to continue to grow. I knew there was something about him the moment we met, not to mention that the Oracle had told me where and how to meet the man who would ultimately help me achieve my lifelong goal of defeating the man who killed my father and who had nearly killed me. As we all breathed a collective sigh of relief, I dropped my armor spell and tossed my protective wristbands to a nearby cushion. "We did it, guys," Ethan said as a heavy weight lifted from his shoulders. I understood what weight on you felt like, and it was obvious for him this win was a major deal. Getting the trumps out of play was a good thing, since even the King of Hell and Heaven itself seemed interested in getting their hands on them. I didn't understand why. It would become clear soon enough. "Yeah, you did it mostly," replied Sparkles with a wink. Sparkles always had a way to lighten the mood, regardless of how bleak and messed up it got. I loved her the moment I met her. She was a great Fae cat, and little did I know it when I met her that she was slotted to be the Queen of the Fae. Imagine me rolling with royalty and a damn demigod. "As long as we have all our limbs and no one died, it was a good day," replied Melissa. "Ah, yeah. Melissa was an angel. No, seriously, she was a literal angel, a guardian angel. So there were Sparkles, Ethan, Melissa, and me against the world. I was a bounty hunter, mage, and supernatural investigator. I watched as Ethan pulled out his blade, a nasty, unique, magical blade he had crafted while he was training at an elite council monastery, and cut his finger. and he went to put a glyph on the card. I had seen him do it before. The idea was to place each card into a dimensional random rotation, so the cards never existed in the same space at the same time. It was a brilliant idea that seemed foolproof. Imagine my surprise when instead of the last power trump vanishing, the other four materialized as he summoned them. Igam, Revolve, Serp Me, Nasham. Each card faded in and hovered in front of Ethan, and my heart skipped a beat. This was not part of the plan. Something was wrong here. "What the hell?" asked Sparkles, just as shocked as I was. I watched as Sparkles' expression went from curious to shocked to utter fear. I had watched her and Ethan communicate telepathically before and understood they were having a discussion. The look on Ethan's face was also shock and fear. "Guys, tear the goggles off of Ethan's head!" As I heard Sparkles yell out the command, I realized there was another among us who I frequently took for granted. That was Kat, the sentient goggles who was basically Ethan's right-hand gal. She looked after him from the beginning and basically laced his boots up on being what we initially thought was your uber-rare Nephilim. We found out later his mother was the Japanese goddess Amaterasu. His father was Azazel, the Fallen Watcher. Yeah, if you're down with the Book of Enoch, then you know who Azazel is. Kat was always with Ethan, and we never suspected anything since she was so damn helpful and always had Ethan's back. The goggles were how Kat communicated with Ethan, and Sparkles had a duplicate miniaturized copy of the same thing on her head. Suddenly Sparkles was silent, stopped moving. I figured it out pretty quick. Whatever was controlling Ethan had just took down Sparkles, and the goggles were the key. I knew it had to be done. I figured it'd be easy enough. Jump in, bust an Air Jordan, vault over Ethan's head, snatch the damn goggles off his head. Easy, right? Wrong. Midair, I'm reaching down, and almost have my hands on the prize when suddenly there was a deep pressure and a dull thump on my chest. I looked down and was confused. How was Ethan's blade sticking out of my chest like that? That's not supposed to be there. I didn't feel any pain, but my chest did explode in fear. Oh my God, this could kill me, I had thought. I wasn't afraid of death, but there's this little business of the devil, Mr. Lucifer, owning my soul. The moment I died, he'd come up and send one of his trusted agents to come and collect my soul. I had dodged that bullet earlier that week and figured if I played my cards right, I'd live to the ripe old age of 97. Didn't look like that was going to happen, as I stared at the blade dripping like a heavy leaky hose. The look on Ethan's face told me he wasn't responsible. I could see the torment and pain in his eyes. This was killing him as much as it was killing me. I hit the floor hard. The funny thing was, I'm pretty sure I broke my shoulder. That hurt worse than the damn blade protruding from my chest. My girl Melissa blasted 3 arrows at Ethan, and they all hit. I could see in his face the pain he felt. Electrical energy jumped in and out of his skin, burning and then healing. He didn't go down. He stood there, continued doing something with the trumps. Enough, Melissa. You're hurting Ethan, but he's not the one in control here. Stop now or you'll be destroyed, said Ethan, but not Ethan. Ethan, what are you doing? Valk's dying, cried Melissa, who was torn. Then I suggest you tend to her and leave me to my work, he said, so cold, so emotionless. Melissa dropped her bow and was with me in an instant, looking me over with her glowing eyes. Darkness was taking over. I was blacking out. I fought it as hard as I could. Melissa chanted some of that angelic magic, and I felt her press down on my chest, and the blade fell free. The pressure was gone. I saw this brilliant light, and it battled against the darkness which was threatening to devour me. I couldn't see Ethan clearly, with Melissa working on me, but I could see the energy flowing, and then there was a brilliant flash of heat, cold, electrical, and other energies I had never experienced before. My fingers gripped a dagger which Melissa had pulled free. The blade was amazing, something Ethan had poured his heart and soul in. The cold metal felt pronounced and cold to the touch, which surprised me since there was a lot of my blood on it. Melissa was putting everything she had into me, and I saw Sparkles nearby, looking dazed and out of it. I saw Melissa look back at Ethan. I knew she was torn. Keep working on me or try to help him. We all knew there was no way any of us, hell, even all of us combined, could take out Ethan. And understanding that, she made the call. She pulled Sparkles to us and said something, and the sanctum started to fade away. My spirit eye noticed a beautiful woman walk into the room, and she examined me for a moment and winked at me. I realized it was Kat. There was a sudden flash of bright lights, and the next thing I knew, we were in heaven. Many hands were suddenly on me, working hard. I faded into oblivion for a moment, then I heard a voice. It was a familiar voice, soft and warm. My child, do not be afraid. Lucifer will not have you today. I have been watching over you since we met. You have much work to do, and I need you alive, so you may help my son. It was the goddess Amaterasu's voice. I relaxed, knowing I wasn't going to hell. Not yet. Chapter 2. Interesting developments. Outside Utah Sanctum, April 15th. Randy, sporting his new body, had grown restless. It had taken longer than expected for him to get a body on Earth, and even with Lucifer's compass, he couldn't pinpoint Ethan's location, so he did what any demon worth his salt would do. He decided to stalk the apartment. He was about to leave when he felt the compass vibrate wildly in his pocket. He retrieved it, and it pointed directly at Melissa's old apartment, and he grinned. "Ethan, buddy, good to see you are truly a creature of habit." Randy shook his head, wondered why, with all the powers Ethan had grown to wield, why the hell would he stay in the apartment in Utah? Granted, there were a few things that was nice about Utah. Outdoor life was amazing if you were into that kind of stuff. There were the breathtaking mountains, the largest to the east and the smaller ones to the west. But other than that, Randy was more into the coastal cities, San Francisco, New York, LA, Seattle. He smiled when he thought about those cities. He raced over and glanced up towards Ethan's apartment and noticed the heavy wards which protected it prevented him from heading upstairs and knocking on the damn doors. He'd have to wait until they came outside. He was patient. He had nothing but time. Boredom was a blessing compared to the alternative in hell. Suddenly he noticed a huge flux of power emanating from the apartment. "What's going on in there, old buddy?" he mumbled to himself. He could hear a muffled yelling. Something's not right. He glanced at the compass and he saw it still pointing strong at the apartment. Suddenly there was a series of magical explosions and a brilliant light spilling out from the windows. Then the sky itself decided it was going to join in on the insanity. He was looking down the street at a decent sunrise. The sky being a brilliant red and orange was happening in the apartment. He saw another flash and suddenly all the wards were gone. Now that can't be good at all. He sprinted towards the complex as the sky continued to shift colors and go from complete darkness to a normal sunrise. He decided it wasn't time for subtlety and passed through the front security door and started sprinting towards Melissa's apartment. He had been there a couple of times, and the angel was decent enough to lower the wards to allow him safe passage back in those days. Now it seemed all of the protective wards she had placed in the building were gone. He wondered what was powerful enough to dispel all that magic. He stood in front of the apartment door and raised his foot up to kick it when he heard an unfamiliar female voice. "You may not believe me, but I am truly sorry, brother." Something in Randy told him to stop. He glanced at the compass and it spun wildly and wouldn't stop spinning. He turned and was about to bolt down the stairs when the door suddenly opened. Standing there was a medium-sized woman with deep brown eyes and dark brown hair. She wore a robe which looked as if it were designed by some ancient monks. Very simple, with a silver metallic sash at the waist. In her hands was the goggles Ethan usually wore on his head. "Who are you?" Randy asked without turning to fully face the woman. "Good to see you, Randy. My name is Kat." "Wait, how do you know me?" She tapped the goggles with her finger. "I used to ride shotgun with Ethan." "Wait, you mean you were like in the goggles?" "No, not in them. I was somewhere else, but I was able to see and communicate with the world to anyone who wore them. Truth be told, I don't know who made them. One day someone was talking to me and I could see out into the world." "Cool, so you're out. That's good, I'm sure. Mind telling me where my boy Ethan is and the chicks that roll with him?" I imagine one of them will be heading to your home soon enough. I liked her, but she tried to stop me. That was a bad thing to try. And Ethan? He's a nice for a long while, I'm afraid. Well, any idea how I can get to him? I'm supposed to be helping him out, you know. I am a demon and I follow orders. Plus, he's my best friend. Who you tried to kill when I first met you? I wasn't going to kill him. I was going to rough him up a bit for show to keep Margot off him, but I wasn't going to really hurt him. Randy had been sizing up the smaller woman, and there was power source flowing through her that was awe-inspiring. He was nervous, but since she had been freely blabbing away, he figured he'd keep pushing his luck. Well, as I was saying, Demon Boy, Ethan's gone, so you might as well run along and just be grateful I don't outright kill you. I'm in a good mood, you know. I think I'm going to grab some food, stretch my legs, and just see what it's like to be in the physical world again. So what? Ethan's not in the physical anymore? Is he dead? Oh, no. He can't be killed in the normal sense of the word. That's why he was perfect. I knew the process wouldn't hurt him long. He might be out of it for a little bit, but he'll recover. Not like I hated him or anything. I actually really cared about him deeply. I feel really bad about it. But when you have a prison that was specifically made for Nephilim, and it needs to hold a Nephilim, you kind of need another Nephilim to swap it out. Not many of those around anymore. Hold up. So you're telling me you're a Nephilim? She nodded, leans against the wall with a grin. The first, actually. I thought there were no female Nephilim. Bad intel, my man. I am, unfortunately, the first and the last. Not sure why that is. In the early days, I didn't care. I've had a lot of time to think about it, though, and I think my father will actually know the answer to that question, as well as a few others. I aim to ask him when I see him. Okay, listen. I got no beef with you, and if you and Ethan do, well, that sucks. But I got a problem, see? Lucifer really wanted the car that the damn cat stole from me. Any chance that that baby is in the apartment there for me to retrieve? He watched for a reaction and got one. Her eyes narrowed, just a bit. I think Ethan pushed those in some kind of rotation. As I swapped places with him, it locked it all down. No one will be getting those cards. I think at least Ethan will be happy in that regard. Yeah, right. Yeah, I bet. But I see some telltale signs right there that the cards are still here. He pointed with his left hand, and Kat glanced over for just a moment. Randy pulled his revolver and shot her twice in the chest, and she flew back into the apartment and fell to the ground. He stepped in, ready to search her, with the hairs on his arms began to rise. A current was flowing around him, and he felt his body rise in the air and slam against the roof. Idiot! I just finished telling you I beat one of the most powerful beings on the planet, and you try to bust a cap on me? Seriously? She stood up, opened her robe, showing her muscled abdomen flexing and two holes there pushing out the slugs. Her skin began to heal quickly. But I do like your spirit. You know, Ethan spoke about exploits you and he did when he trained. He really liked you a lot. In fact, even after learning you were a demon and you died, he took it hard. Was relieved to find out you were still alive, so I'm torn. I really should kill you and be done with you. But then you'll just end up in hell and Lucifer will learn of me, and that's a bit premature. So what to do with you? I know. You wanted the card, right? She motioned, and the 5 power trumps materialized in front of her. Randy studied them and saw the energy flowing amongst them, almost as if they were alive. How about we play a game? She pulled one card, revealed it to Randy, so he could see it clear. It was the lover's card. Watch this. She took the 4 other cards, arranged them in a certain way, and when she was satisfied, she put the lover's card on top and blew Randy a kiss. Oh, you're gonna love me. Yeah, love you to death, he snarled. We'll see, she replied sweetly with a grin. She placed her hand on top the cards and pressed down, and a bolt of energy slammed into Randy. Suddenly his mind could only think of making Kat happy. There was nothing he wouldn't do for her. Nothing would stop him from making her love him. She motioned, and he slowly floated to the floor. He stood before her, grinning like a schoolboy with a huge crush. You dropped your gun. Pick it up, she said as she motioned to the pistol. He nodded, quickly picked it up. Go ahead and shoot me if you want. Why the hell would I do that? I love you. Do you? He nodded. Yes. Prove it. How? Bow before me. He dropped to his knees and she smiled. Very good. This pleases me. Now I'm hungry. Take me somewhere good to eat. Your clothing. What about them? You'll draw attention to yourself. True. Cat motioned and her original robes began to shift in fabric and color. A moment later, she was wearing a loose, fitted outfit which she refigured would blend in well. Better, Randy said with a smile. Okay, let's get going. Let's get something delicious. Cat motioned and the card slowly vanished as she examined Randy with an expectant stare. I know a few locations here, or if you'd like to go somewhere more exotic, we can go to San Francisco, L.A., Vegas. Vegas sounds good. Vegas sounds very good. They walked out the apartment, and as they did, Kat slid the goggles on her head and smiled. The feeling of freedom was intoxicating. The air itself was alive, and she fought to control the emotions mixed within her. Chapter 3. What happened? Council Master's chamber, April 15th. You failed? The Council Master looked worried as he examined the 4 women in front of him. 3 were identical in appearance and slightly pale in color. The 4th was a strong, beautiful woman with flaming red hair. The power he possessed. He did not do as he was supposed to. All paths showed him becoming frustrated and attacking full force. Instead, he chose a more peaceful approach. Yeah, he did, said Fiona with fire in her eyes. I've never seen anything like it. He time-looped us so quickly there was no way we could have countered. I'm surprised they didn't see it coming. Fiona glared at the 3 sisters. They stared back with no emotions showing in the gaze. And now he has 5 of the trumps of power, and worst of all, the Fool's card. They stood there in silence. A man walked in, past the guards with a sense of urgency on his face. He paused and waited impatiently. What is it? Master, the sky has been doing strange things. The sky? He said with trepidation in his voice. Yes, please come see. The group hurried outside. The air was filled with an uneasy calm, and an ominous silence greeted them. The forest is deathly quiet, Fiona noted. They stared at the sky, and sure enough, the heavens were in turmoil. The sky darkened and then inexplicably flashed. What caused this? Fiona was almost afraid to ask. It is as we feared, said one of the sisters. The end is near. Council Master nodded. You may be right, but I fear this is the work of another threat than Ethan Higashi. I think Kat has escaped. The 3 sisters inhaled deeply and spun to face the Master. We have not seen this. Why would you suspect it? Because legend has it, when she was imprisoned initially, the sky went from day to night many times. What do you know of the power cards? Only tales, the 3 admitted in unison. Let me enlighten you on them. They are powerful each of itself, but combined they can do things many can't even comprehend. I suspect they could allow one who was imprisoned by the Heavenly Father himself to escape. How is this even possible? Some say he left loopholes in everything to allow us the choice to rise up or to fall to our own deepest levels. Fiona scoffed. I don't think he gives a shite about us. Again, the Master smiled. He does. He has a plan for everything. Again, Fiona sneered. Well, in my travels, the things I've seen makes me a doubter. I don't know the halos were wearing off on you. I didn't know the halos are wearing off on you. The Master moved so quickly that Fiona hadn't even seen a blur when suddenly there was a cold, hard edge pressed against her throat. Are you still breathing? Yes, she stuttered, her eyes practically bulging out of their sockets. Good. See, the Heavenly Father stayed my hand. Do not disrespect again or mock the alliance we have with the heaven. I apologize. I'm just frustrated and afraid. I get grumpy at times like this. I hate losing and I hate nasty surprises. The day just keeps getting better and better. Master took his hand down and Fiona saw no blade in it. I know, child, and I apologize for my behavior, but I, too, am afraid. You 3, what do you see in America, in Utah? We see nothing. He nodded. Master, what is this cat? Why is she so dangerous? Fiona asked. You know the story of the fallen? She nodded. Yes, they left heaven to be with the human women. They were the ones who taught us magic. Their children, the Nephilim, were horrible giant monsters who destroyed everything they encountered. That is partly true, but there is one piece you're missing. The firstborn child of the fallen watchers was a girl. She grew quickly and was powerful, which was not surprising as Azazel was her father. The giants followed her example. She was corrupted by the power she possessed. When the Heavenly Father decided to intervene, it was primarily to stop her. Azazel begged Heavenly Father to spare his daughter, and God agreed. Instead, he banished her and he stripped the magic from the fallen so they could never try to rescue Azazel's daughter. Question, asked Fiona. How did she get in the goggles? Is that the prison? He shook his head. No. The goggles were a window to this side that she communicated through. Where did they come from? The Oracle. The Oracle? All four women said at once. He nodded. Yes. The Oracle crafted the goggles herself, and using the power of the trumps managed to pierce the prison walls and find Cat. She gave the goggles to us and shared the story of Cat. She also told us there was much we could learn from her. We made a deal with Cat. We told her she could work with us, and in return we would research and find a way to free her. And your plan was to never free her? Correct. Who knew of Cat? Mordecai and a dozen others. Who knew you never planned on freeing her? No one. Fiona nodded. How much power are we looking at? Ethan was off the charts and he trained for 10 years, right? Yes. Cat's power was remarkable, and legend says she was very skilled. Even through the goggles, she learned a lot. Factor in the cards. If she has access, who knows? You think her and Ethan are going to work together? I don't know. I only know one thing for sure. She is far more dangerous than Ethan. She has over 2,000 years of anger built up from being trapped. We need to send a message out and see what's going on. I'll reach out to heaven and see what they know. What do you wish us to do? The three sisters asked. I'd like to know what's interfering with your abilities. It's unnatural that these details are avoiding you. Yes, we shall meditate. And me? Asked Fiona. Head to Utah. See what you can find out. Mordecai left detailed notes in the files. She nodded. Okay, I'm on it. If I come across her, do not engage. We need data. We need to understand what we're up against. Understood. The sisters and Fiona left the council master, and after a few minutes, he returned to his chamber and sighed. Okay. This thing lock up on me? Let's see it locked up. Well, hopefully it's still doing the audio. We'll find out. Okay, here it goes. Chapter 4 Debriefings, Heaven, April 15th. Having a guardian angel recall back to heaven was bad enough, but when Melissa showed up with a human maid severely wounded and a Fey cat, that was something else. The recall point was a location that all angels could fall back to if they were overwhelmed or injured, and it was always staffed with the most elite healers. Melissa knew Valk would be cared for and easily saved. Sparkles was still out of it, and Melissa felt utterly defeated. She had, in mere moments, lost control of everything she had spent years cultivating. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes and prayed. She prayed for Ethan. She prayed for Valk. She prayed for Sparkles, and she even prayed for Cat. I'm sorry to disturb you. You're being summoned. I was expecting this. I'm on my way. She stood and looked at the healers who were examining Sparkles. Please look after them. One of the healers nodded briefly and returned to her scanning. Melissa stood, feeling as if the weight of the world was on her shoulders. She quickly walked, and 5 minutes later she was led into a large conference room she had never seen before. Her trainer was there, as were several others who looked stressed and impatient. A thin man approached her and extended his hand. He had black wings with a slight bluish tint to them. She took his hand and felt a soothing warmth flow from him to her as he spoke. My name is Gabriel. We are sensing a great disturbance on the earth, and your sudden appearance here leads us to conclude that it is related. Is this true? He released his grip and motioned to an empty chair, which she took. He sat nearby and waited. I don't know what's going on the earth right now. I know that we have 5 trumps in our possession and suddenly Ethan was taken over. Would you be so kind as to share the experience with us? She paused for a moment and then slowly nodded. She closed her eyes and focused on a memory, and after she had selected what she wanted to share, she made a few glyphs in the air and motioned to each member in the room. A faint beam of light flowed from her to each of them. A moment later, they collectively gasped. Who is this cat that betrayed Ethan? I don't know more than he was in contact with her through the goggles, the same ones that on the fake hat Sparkles in the recall center. Gabriel made a quick pass in the air and spoke. Please place the cat's goggles in a safe, magic-free container until further notice. He turned his attention back to Melissa. So she controlled him and took possession of the cards. Why were you not the one in control? Ethan had a plan. Seemed legitimate. Plus, with the power he possessed, I knew there was no way to secure the cards myself. Even if you wanted to, said a voice with irritation in it. It's plain to see from your shared memory, even with your edits, you cared for this Nephilim. Melissa flared inside, but kept her cool composure on the outside. Yes, I care for Ethan. I love him. But my duty is and always will be to heaven. With all due respect, he time-looped nearly 100 Council elite soldiers with barely a thought. He dispelled fireballs with a wave. He was way beyond my abilities to even convince him into giving me the cards. I doubt anyone here would have been able to take them from him. And yet, even with all that power, he was defeated by a pair of goggles? She nodded. I was caught off guard as well. There was more to the goggles and cat than I originally ever thought. Gabriel was quiet. I know this cat you speak of, he said suddenly. You do? Indeed I do. How? I was the one who imprisoned her in the first place, though not in any goggles. Are you sure? How do you know? As we've been talking, the healers have been able to grab pieces of memories from Valk and Sparkles. I've been reviewing Valk's memory. The last part of her conscious memory, she saw a woman appear, as you were recalling. The woman made eye contact and winked. The wink was not meant for Valk. It was meant for me. I don't understand. This cat, as you know her, is the daughter of Azazel, a human woman named Katrina. The mother died during childbirth, and Azazel named his first Nephilim child Katrina, after the woman who he had fallen for. Cat was, as far as we know, the only female Nephilim. Wait, Cat's dad is Azazel? Yes, why? Ethan's father is Azazel? That's not possible. Why? When God punished Azazel and sent me to imprison Cat, he rendered Azazel sterile. He could never again spawn a child like Cat. Melissa's eyes widened. But the goddess Amaterasu said she was with Azazel. Maybe she was led to believe the one she was with is named Azazel, but I assure you, the Azazel I know cannot have children anymore. So you imprison Cat, who is the first Nephilim. Why? God was tired of the destruction she was causing. Like a spoiled child, there was nothing she couldn't get, and she was powerful. It was not easy constructing a prison to hold her. Do you think she is working with Ethan now? Perhaps she revealed that they were family in his mind? I don't think so. It looked like he was being forced. And after what she made him do to Valk, I don't think there's anything she could say that would move him to her. But she has the cards now. Those cards have several abilities which could augment and make her much more powerful in her normal state. I imagine she'd be able to do many things to Ethan. Melissa nodded. What are the cards? She asked. I don't know, Gabriel said with a slight shrug. You really don't know, or you're not allowed to talk about them? Melissa, stand down, said a stern voice. Gabriel raised his hand quickly. No. This is a legitimate question, all things considered. I don't know the true origins of the cards, but I do know the history of certain cards, as they have been in the human's history since even before the fall of the Watchers, since before the casting out of my brother Lucifer. In fact, I believe the cards predate even the creation of the angels. If God did not create them, then they are from the darkness. The darkness? Yes, before God created everything that exists now in the light, there was the darkness. But the darkness was not empty. The things that lived there were different. The rules and magic that was there was chaotic and sinister by our standards. The energy that flowed out of it could not be destroyed, so it was rerouted into hell, Melissa said softly. Yes. Okay, I learned a little about hell and the dark energy there. Kept it in check for the most part, but there are several artifacts which are on the earth from the darkness. I think possibly the cards are from there. Melissa nodded. What now? She asked. You will continue your original task and perform your duties as a guardian angel. Find Ethan, assess the situation, communicate with me directly. Gabriel handed Melissa a small golden ring. With this ring, you'll be able to contact me, and I will be able to come to you and help if you need. Thank you. I'd also like to apologize. I know bringing Valk and Sparkles here was against the rules. I just wanted to save my friends. Gabriel smiled. I would have done the same thing. Do not be concerned. Go now and return to your friends. Melissa nodded, relieved that Gabriel was not disappointed in her and that she hadn't lost her wings. When she was gone, the door closed and the others shifted uneasily. Why did you lie to her? Because the truth would have caused her unnecessary pain. Gabriel turned to face the large man whose wings were like his own. You know she won't find Ethan. But the fake cat, Sparkles, will, and they will use the goggles. Is this about your damn prison? In a way it is, brother. No one escapes. Your prison still has an occupant in it. The wrong one. Can you free him? No. The nature of the prison is to constantly change so that really there should have only been one way out. A pardon. Yes. By father? Yes. Well, we know that's not going to be coming anytime soon. I know. So what? You sent Melissa to look for Ethan and know she will not find him. Eventually, she will learn the truth, and then what? Then I will have time to think and come up with a plan. You and I both know that if Kat is left her own devices on the earth, nothing good will come of it. I just need a little time is all. I am confident Melissa will make discoveries. Large man was quiet. I understand and agree Kat will be a problem. While you consider your plans, I'm going to go get the army ready. I think it's also time I pay a visit to Lucifer. Gabriel raised an eyebrow. Why? If she is as powerful as you fear and the cards are increasing her abilities, we may need a plan B. I could think of no better tactician than him. Gabriel nodded. Indeed, be careful though. It's not every day that the great Michael goes to hell. Yes, under normal circumstances, I'd rather not venture there. But these are extreme circumstances, are they not? You make a good point. Be careful though. I do not trust our brother. I trust him. I will be careful. Hang on, guys. Let me get my eyes. Let's see. Michael left the room and Gabriel shook his head slowly. Okay, you may all leave now. Keep this to yourselves. Melissa hurried back to the healing chambers, and when she got there, she was relieved to see Sparkles snuggling next to Valk, who was laying on her side, gently petting the large cat. Valk! Sparkles! Valk slowly sat up, and Sparkles smiled grimly. Hey, Melissa. What happened? Valk won't tell me. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad, guys. Very bad. Turns out Kat is the daughter of Azazel. She was imprisoned by God because she was some kind of hellraiser back in the day. She played us hard. She waited till we got the cards, and she used them to escape. What about Ethan? Asked Val, concerned. I don't know. No one does. I'm supposed to head back and see what I can find. Sparkle shook her head. You know, a fake hat can track anything we touched. I marked Ethan a long time ago when he was manifesting. I've only lost track of him once before, when he went to do his training. While he was at the training grounds, I couldn't feel him, and now I don't know where he is. I mean, it could also be because we're in heaven, but I've tracked things and people that were in hell, so I figure should be able to do the same thing here, even if it is heaven. Melissa pondered on this for a moment. What about the goggles? Asked Valk. What about them? That's how Kat knocked me out, said Sparkles, worried. I don't know if she can still do that, said Valk. Why? Asked Melissa, curious as Valk could know. I saw her as we were coming here. I saw her and she winked at me. Melissa nodded. We could try to see if the goggles work. Melissa turned to face the healing tech. Do you know where the goggles are that were on the Fey Cat's head when we arrived? The tech pointed and said, "They are taken to the vault, sorry." Melissa cursed under her breath. "We have a slight problem." "What?" asked Valk. "They put them in a vault of artifacts." "We're gonna steal it?" asked Sparkles, keeping her voice low as she glanced around to see if anyone was close enough to hear them. Melissa shook her head. "No, I have an idea." Using the ring Gabriel had given her, she contacted him. "Gabriel?" "Yes. I'm sorry to bother you. I need to have access to the goggles that were taken to the vault." "Why is that?" "Ethan is not on Earth." "You are sure of this?" he asked, surprised she figured this out so fast. "Pretty sure." "And you think the goggles might be helpful?" "Yes. I'll have them brought to you." "Thank you." "Okay, the goggles are being brought to us." "Whoa, check you out," said Sparkles, trying to lighten the mood. "Got some clout up here, do we?" "Yeah, right." She waved it away. "How you manage that?" asked Valk. "Gabriel's getting them for me." "Gabriel? As in Archangel Gabriel?" asked Valk, surprised. Melissa nodded. "Cool. While we wait, I'm going to lay back down." "Come here, Sparkles." "Only reason I'm allowing you to manhandle me like this is because you almost died." Valk scratched behind Sparkles' ears and she purred. "And you have figured out my weakness." A few minutes went by and a young angel approached with a golden box. "Here is the item you have requested," said the man, as he handed it to Melissa and then turned and left. Whew. I think we get done with this chapter. That's going to be it, because my eyes is blurry. I think I'm having a super migraine right now. Let's see here. Okay, Sparkles, you know how they work. Sparkles nodded. "Let's do this. Let's find Ethan." Melissa put the goggles on Sparkles and they adjusted until they fit snugly. Sparkles closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. There was nothing there. No sensation. No pronounced feeling of Cat's presence. The pronounced feeling of Cat's presence was missing. "Feels empty. Nothing here." "Try harder," urged Valk. Sparkles felt something faint. She focused more on it, and there was Ethan floating in a sea of darkness like a single grain of rice lost at sea at night. Sparkles controlled her breathing and pushed her will into the goggles. Ethan. Nothing. She pushed harder, and she drifted closer to him. She noticed a familiar house with monster rose bushes. Ethan was laying in the middle of the home, sleeping. She watched the ghostly figure of him sit up and look at the phone. "Ethan!" She tried again. She watched his ghostly figure wander the house while his body remained solid, floating in the darkness. "He's astral walking. The place he's at is something else." "Keep trying," said Melissa. Sparkles kept pushing on the image of Ethan. She saw Ethan go to the door and began to have a conversation with someone who she couldn't see. "Ethan!" "Sparkles?" Ethan's voice was disjointed and confused. "Wake up, Ethan! Wake up!" "Sparkles?" Cat's voice boomed and shocked Sparkles, who quickly threw off the goggles. "What happened?" "Ethan's alive, sorta. And when I was trying to talk to him, Cat showed up. Well, not really showed up, but her voice popped in my head like Ethan's used to. It was hard to explain. Cat was always a presence in the goggles. You could feel her. When Ethan and I used to talk, it was like a walkie-talkie in my head. Well, now I can feel Ethan, and Cat's got the walkie-talkie." "Wait a minute. Gabriel." "Yes, Melissa." There was an infinite amount of patience that Gabriel had, and Melissa could feel it through the connection. She was relieved because she felt like she was pestering him. "I'm really sorry to bother you again, but I think we know where Ethan is." You do?" Ethan smiled to himself. Melissa was very resourceful and forthcoming with her information. "Yes, we think he's in your prison." "What makes you think that?" Melissa shared Sparkle's experience and Gabriel nodded. "I will check, but if he is there, it will be very difficult to get him out. The prison was designed to never be opened again by anyone other than God." "Don't suppose you got God on speed dial?" she joked. "No, sorry." He sensed her trying to lighten the mood and smiled. "Okay, please let us know if you find out for sure." "I will need some time. It is not easy to find a location of a prison and then be able to peer into it." "I understand, thank you." Melissa looked at Valk and Sparkles. "Gabriel's going to check on the prison to see who's there. He'll get back to us. So what do we do in the meantime?" I know what I want to do, said Valk. What? I'd like to grab a bite, then I'd like to pay a visit to the Oracle. Oh, said Sparkles. Gabriel, can we keep the goggles for a bit? Yes, just keep them in a box when not using them, he advised. Okay. Melissa retrieved the goggles from off the floor and put them back into the golden box. Gabriel said, when not using these, to put them in the box. That's done now. Any ideas where you'd like to eat? Valk nodded. Some Chinese would be good. I know a spot in San Francisco. Share it with me and I'll port us there. Valk closed her eyes and could feel Melissa. She made a single glyph and Melissa received the information. There's also a bar next door to it. Sparkles nodded. A good stiff drink or even a dozen sounds lovely. Alright, so that's where we're going to end it. We got the first 4 chapters done. I would do more, but like I said, right now my eyes are getting so blurry that I'm having difficulty reading. So that's where we're going to end it right now. Let me get a bookmark here. Chapter 5 is where we're going to pick up next week. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. This story gets bananas relatively quickly, so we shall see. I'm hoping that most of the people that saw the notification for this video realize they may not have finished part 1, and if they are watching this, not part 1 but book 1, if they haven't done anything with book 1 and they don't want spoilers, they can't watch this. So hopefully they got that message in the very beginning. Alright, that's going to be it for now.